Okay, everyone, it's live now.
Okay, this is a notice of a public hearing today, July 20th. Let the record reflect it is 6:12 p.m. Madam Clerk, you want to do the roll?
Trustee Denton,
Present.
Trustee Steve,
Present.
Trustee House,
Present.
Trustee Brown,
Present.
Trustee Holmes,
Present.
Trustee Henyard.
Present.
Also present of Mayor Rogers, of course, myself. Village Attorney Murphy, are you on? Not yet. I know our administrator is on.
yes,
Oh,
yes.
got you. Okay. And our administrator is on and some department heads as well.
Okay, this is a notice given that pursuant to section 8-2-9 of the Illinois Municipal Code, the Board of Trustees of the Village of Dalton, Cook County, Illinois, will hold this public meeting now on July 20th via Zoom, live streamed on YouTube, to consider the appropriation ordinance / budget ordinance for the fiscal year commencing May 1st, 2020 and ending April 30th, 2021. Members of the public will be allowed to comment on the proposed ordinance at this public hearing. A copy of the draft appropriation ordinance is available for viewing in the office of the village clerk. Okay, where do we start? Trustee House? Hello?
Okay, I'm
Audio
here. Sorry about that. I was still on mute.
Okay.
I have a brief comment on the budget, or on the proposed budget here. The major thing is, I think we talked about it at our last meeting, but we want everybody to be mindful. In most years, preceding years is a good indicator of where you want to begin your budget and how you want to look forward, because there's not generally big swings. In this case, with the COVID-19 and the impact that it has on revenue, this is going to be a very challenging budget season. So there are going to be revenue shortfalls, and because of that, we have to manage accordingly. So the projections that have been given in the budget are conservative. We do want to make sure that we continuously monitor at our monthly finance committee meetings and across the board the financials that are going out, and be ready to make adjustments as necessary. I think that the major implication is we want to make sure that there is still enough money coming in from the property taxes. If more people walk away from their homes, that will decrease our property tax. Our tax collections is already in the low 80s, maybe high 70s, and the possibility that may dip can really impact us. So keep our eyes on the ball, make sure we don't let up, and things will moving forward. We have to just make sure that we stay diligent. I think Attorney Murphy may have had some comments, or even Administrator Scott, on things that they've been working on as well. But that's my summation.
Let me just emphasize for the public benefits a couple of points. First, as Trustee House indicated, the full depth of the economic impact of the pandemic has not yet hit us, in part because of the delay in property tax revenues. We know that the first installment collections are lagging. We also know for certainty that the deadline for the payment of the second installment will be delayed from August 1st to October 1st. As Trustee House mentioned, we don't know what the property tax collection rate is going to be, and whether there's going to be defaults. We don't even know at this point whether the banks who are holding mortgage money will
Are you
release
talking
that
cumulatively or just for the month?
Excuse me, sir?
So July last year, we got 521,000 in sales tax. This year, we've got 514,000.
So we don't know whether whether the banks are going to pay the property taxes they're holding in escrow by the August deadline. So the overall point is that this budget's going to have to be fluid to adjust to the ups and downs in the receipt of tax revenues.
Well, this doesn't include water. This is just sales tax and those types of revenues.
I don't think Chris realizes he's on audio.
Okay. So I think Howard's going to do this.
So does any of the trustees have any questions in regards to the budget that was forwarded?
Any questions in regards to what, Mayor?
Any questions to the budget that was forwarded that we were talking about now?
Oh, yeah, I got questions.
Okay, go ahead.
If I may, Mr. Mayor?
Go ahead, Madam Clerk.
Sorry, trustee, to interrupt, but just so we're clear, and the attorney, I think, will confirm this. The purpose of this session at 6 o'clock is for public comment.
Right.
Certainly, so that should be borne in mind, and we should be monitoring any comments that are coming in on chat box, because we can't adjourn unless those are addressed. That's the purpose of the public hearing. Any questions the trustees want to ask that time allows is great, moving things along, but they can also ask those questions at the regular board meeting as the agenda item comes up.
Okay.
And so far in the chat box, there's YouTube is a little bit delayed, so it's not in real time. But so far, the only comment was someone saying that they thought the board meeting started at 6:30. So we don't have any other questions or comments right now.
And can use this time to answer any of the board's questions until some more come in.
Okay, Trustee Denton.
Okay, well, was going line by line, and on page two, grants. All of these are anticipation. How can we base the budget off of what might be? Guess that's my big question. I can't base paying my bills in my home off of what I might get. I might get a stimulus check to pay this, but I don't know. Only thing I can base paying my bills on is what I know I get at the first of the month. So I guess the anticipation part is really throwing me for these grants.
Well, these are just as you said, anticipation and projections, and also as Trustee House stated, we were constantly monitoring this and make adjustments every month.
Oh,
And then in the verbiage, it said revenue related to COVID-19 that might be reimbursable. That's throwing me for a loop.
Trustee House, you want to address?
and if Chris was on here to chime in, if not, I can kind of respond.
Okay.
Chris?
Yes, trustee?
Okay, did you hear Trustee Denton's question about the page 2 and 3 where it says might be reimbursable expenses for revenue?
Regarding the grants?
Yes.
So which grant are you specifically asking about? Because depending on the grant, like the CDBG grant, you guys have already received those monies, so those are dependent on CDBG expenses. The JAG grant, you only get you will spend that money only if you receive the grant. So the $28,000 for the JAG grant, if we don't get the JAG grant, we have no JAG grant expenses. For the firefighters, those two grants, they're equal offsetting expenses. So in the fire department, there are two line items for these exact grants. So if we receive the monies for these grants, you'll have those expenses. If there is no grant, then there's no expenses.
No grant, no expenses. Okay. What about this COVID-19 grant for $77,000?
That's the refund from the feds for all your COVID eligible expenditures.
And that's dependable, that's not a might be or anticipation?
From everything I've read and said, the one thing that everyone is agreeing regarding at least COVID is that they will reimburse for expenses related directly to COVID prevention and COVID type items. At least that's what everything I've seen. Now, if that changes federally, then yes, this is possible. But everything I've read so far, they are going to, the federal government will at least reimburse to COVID expenses. So like cleaning supplies and those types of items. So everything I've read so far, they will reimburse at the minimum those items.
That amount, $77,000.
Well,
Okay.
the amount that they're reimbursing is what you have in expenses. So if you check each
Okay.
department, you'll see that you have expenses for each department related to COVID.
Right. Okay, got understood.
Okay, did you have anything else, trustee Denton?
Oh, you want me to keep going?
Yeah,
Okay. What does this mean? I'm looking at line item 0100328. Other licenses, various types of licenses estimated same as last year, need to inquire regarding manual fee to determine if budget increase warranted. What does this mean, please? What does that mean?
Chris?
Yes, I'm sorry, so trustee, I'm trying to find the account number. Can you tell me what account number you're referencing?
Sure, 0100328, page 2 as well.
Okay, so those are licenses that aren't like directly, from what I've seen, those usually are not business licenses. Those are other licenses that come out, depending on where they're charged in the system.
So not business license.
From what I've seen. Now, if you look at last year, you'll see how we had 394,000. That
Yeah.
probably means that a lot of people were charging it to the wrong account number. Because if you look at business licenses, which is like 5 accounts up, you'll see that we only received 22,000, 0100323.
And
So
then
that
it jumped to 270,000?
Because what they probably were doing is they were charging it to the wrong account. So when they were inputting the license in, when they were taking in the payment, they were probably selecting account A instead of when they should have been selecting account B. Which is something I am working right now with Sandra to make sure everything is properly linked in the sense of these are all the codes and it properly agrees to our budget. I am working with her to make that moving forward correct.
Okay.
So that's why I
Okay.
kept the budget at 270 for business licenses and then 45 for other licenses.
Okay, thank you, Chris, and stand by. It's now 6:30. If we can get a motion to adjourn this public meeting, if there's no more comments, Giovanni,
We have a few questions.
pardon me?
We do have a few questions here.
Okay, let's continue with the questions.
Okay, one question is, who manages the grant money and who approves of its expenditures?
What was that again? Who manages what?
Who manages the grant money and who approves of its expenditures?
Chris?
So the grant money will depending on which grant it is. So if it's like a fire grant, that will probably fall underneath the fire department. CDBG money, that's usually handled by your engineers. So depending on the grant, it's whoever is responsible for it.
Okay, the next question is there going to be a copy of the budget for residents to view, and where can we see it?
As I mentioned at the beginning, a copy will be available at the Village Hall Clerk's office.
Mayor?
Yes, go
If
ahead.
I might add, there is a copy available at the clerk's office. There is also one posted online. As was mentioned, I think before we went live, so far the only correction in the proposed revised budget is the lawn care item. But of course, the board can pass whatever it sees fit this evening. And yes, we will have it available here and it will be posted online.
Thank you.
Okay, the next question is regarding the finance debt. The other professional services for 200,000.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the total question.
Okay, the question is in reference to the finance department, and it says, what are the other professional services totaling $250,000?
That would be that's the fee the village pays for John, for us to handle all the village's finances, processes payroll, manage its finances, billing, and everything else we do for the village. Handle its general liability insurance, all those various items that we do for the village.
All right, the next question is, why is she, I'm not sure who she is, but why is she not going over this stuff at the finance meeting? These things need to be discussed before the board meeting.
Who are they referring to? Trustee Denton?
I'll ask to clarify, but it's a few seconds delay.
Okay. Any response, Giovanni? Any response?
No, she hasn't responded yet. Oh, here's another question about, they want to know who manages the funds and approves expenditures for special events.
I'm not sure if we've had many special events that we actually put funds out there for. Elizabeth? Hello, Elizabeth?
Can you hear me? Hello? Hello?
Now
Yes,
I can hear you.
I'm having so many problems. Hello?
Did you hear the question, Elizabeth?
No, my phone, I've been having problems with my talking on my Zoom. I've been trying to talk this entire meeting. I'm sorry. Can you repeat that now?
Okay, sure. Pull it back up. The question was regarding special events. Who manages those funds and approves expenditures?
I know that special events is in the budget, and it was, I believe, last year when I wasn't here when the budget was created. But I know that if you look, which page is that, Chris? It's actually in here. I saw it when we were going over the budget for special events.
That's page 80112
So there's a certain amount that is allotted in the budget, and I believe it's let me see, where is that? What line is that?
592, page 8.
Right, and it's in here, it's in this budget. And some of the events that were done so for the census grant, I was managing that grant and that monies. And that pertained to events where we had to deal with the census, We obviously couldn't put on workshops and have people in Village Hall, which I had asked for money specifically for that. But we were able to purchase water, different supplies, tents and things that were needed for us for some of our events. And that money for some of those events was offset by the census money.
Okay, and we have clarity for the question when someone referenced she, they were referring to Trustee Denton. And I'll read the question again. Okay, the question is, why is she, Trustee Denton, not going over this stuff at the finance meeting? These things should be discussed before the board meeting.
Okay, I am Trustee Denton, and excuse me, I was given an opportunity to ask a question, so I had questions, but I didn't know that it was out of order for me to ask them at this forum. So excuse me, I'm sorry.
Okay, any more questions, Giovanni?
Here's another, it's a comment regarding the budget. It's saying there should be a line item on the budget to cut grass on vacant properties. And why isn't the grass being cut on vacant properties?
So we do have a line item for that also. For the grass cutting, Trustee House, I think you can chime in. I think that it was lowered recently to $25,000. Am I correct?
It was. So there's been a line item for previous years for grass cutting. This year is the same. The intention, as we talked about at our last finance committee meeting, was that we would purchase lawnmower equipment. There is a split decision amongst the board right now on purchasing the lawnmower equipment, but we do have money in the budget to cut grass for the vendors to do so, as well as utilizing Public Works to offset. So there is money allocated. It's less money than years past, but we do have money allocated.
One thing, we have to mention the fact that the money that is allocated in the budget now for cutting grass is much, much less than it has been in previous years. Excuse me, and you've also mentioned the fact that there's been a split decision in regards to buying equipment to cut the grass. We haven't moved forward. I think that you have kind of taken a vote from all the board members, and we're at the point now that we need to go forward and buy this equipment so we can get it to Public Works and also have the contractors come in immediately and start cutting this grass, even though the money that's been allocated has been reduced. With all the rain that we've had and with the prediction of by the meteorologists in regards to this is going to be a hot and rainy summer, we need to get on top of cutting this grass right away.
Okay, next question is, why is there no credit card budget for 2021?
Why is there no what?
Why is there no credit card budget for 2021?
The reason why there is no credit card budget is because the expenses related that are charged on the credit card, they're all charged to various line items within their current budget. So depending on what each item is for, it's already charged someplace else within the budget.
You mean it's already allocated, right?
Yes.
Each one of those categories, not charged already, but allocated for.
Next question is, what time does the board meeting start and what dates are they held?
Okay, board meetings start at 6:30 every first and third Monday, except for the months of July and August. Is that correct, Mary Kay?
Yes, it is.
Okay, in
Tonight
July,
being an exception because we're running late.
yeah, in July and August, the regular board meeting is the third week of each of those months, correct?
The third week in July, which is tonight, which will convene when we conclude the public hearing the board is now having. And the next board meeting will be August 3rd, the first Monday. And
Oh,
that's
first.
at 6:30. And then
Okay.
there will not be another, there's not another scheduled meeting until after Labor Day, the day after Labor Day.
Okay. All right, great.
The next
Okay.
question, can the dates and times of all the board meetings be published?
They are published, they are posted here at the Village Hall. They are also on the website.
All right.
And if you want to contact me, I can direct you to those links, and perhaps we should do a little bit better job of making sure people can find them.
I can put the link in the chat box too. just to make-
Appreciate it.
Mhm. Let's
Mayor, can I be recognized?
Go ahead, trustee.
Okay, I have one resident that was sending me through a text message, a question, but said she couldn't access the Zoom, asking how much money do we have left in TIF number 4? I'm not sure if Chris has access to that information.
How much
So
money?
right now, the village has no money in TIF number 4 because that's the new TIF that you guys are in the process of creating. So that will probably be only the expenses that you guys have already spent and anything that you will be spending soon for the starting of that TIF and do the work for that TIF.
Thank you.
May I be recognized?
Go ahead.
Yeah. Chris, could you explain, or do you have anything on paper where that money went to
What money, trustee? I'm a little,
from the TIF?
you haven't received any money yet from the TIF. You won't start receiving any money from that TIF until you guys have, so it's actually completed and people start paying taxes in it. So that's TIF you guys are in the process right now of creating.
Okay, what about the past TIF?
The past TIFs, so all your other TIFs, those monies are in the, depending on which TIF you're discussing, are being spent either for the current agreements that you have in place to continue paying, or those TIFs are in the process of closing down. I can't give you a general answer. And the general answer is those TIFs are either being spent down or they're in the process of closing.
Okay, I would like for you to provide paperwork documents where the money went to from the last TIF. That's all I have.
All TIFs,
All TIFs.
okay, I may not have all that documentation available right up front, so give me a little time to pull those files. And
Thank you.
I'll get you what I got. Okay?
Thank you.
Okay, Giovanni, are there any more questions?
Yes, we have a few more. This is regarding parking fines.
Okay.
Why is it possible items charged to wrong GL? Why don't we know for sure?
I'm not sure if that's a budget question.
So I can answer that. That's not a budget question. So when things get charged through a GL, it happens over in the water department. They take in checks and different things. And sometimes, I don't know why, but they may push on the incorrect. There's like a drop box that comes down with all the various GL codes. So I know some confusion came into play where it came up, some things were just not put under the correct GL, but we just go through it and Chris has to basically reorganize, put it in the correct, put the money in the correct line item.
Okay, next question.
That's the last question.
Okay, I'm gonna ask for a motion to adjourn the budget meeting, go into our regular board meeting.
Motion to adjourn.
Second,
There's
Is there a
Trustee
second?
Brown or Trustee Hendry.
trustee Brown.
Thank you.
Is there a second?
Trustee Brown, Trustee House motion.
Okay, I didn't hear the first. Okay, the motion and seconded to close out the public hearing for the budget. Roll call.
Trustee Denton,
Present. Aye.
Trustee Steve,
Aye.
Trustee House,
Aye.
Trustee Brown. Trustee Brown,
Aye.
thank you. Trustee Holmes,
All right.
Trustee Henry.
Aye.
Okay, 6 ayes, motion carries. Budget hearing is now adjourned. Now I'd like to get a motion to go into our general regular board meeting for July 20th.
Yes.
like to call to order the regular board meeting of the Board of Trustees for July 20th. Let the record reflect that it is 6:42. Want to call a roll, Madam Clerk?
Trustee Denton,
Present.
trustee Steve,
Present.
trustee House,
Present.
trustee Brown,
Present.
trustee Holmes,
Present.
and trustee Henyard.
Present.
Mayor Rogers clearly being present, myself, the village clerk, village attorney. Is our engineer present? Not.
Yes, I'm here.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. And
I'm here.
Thank you. And our administrator is present and department heads.
Yes.
Okay. All right. You want to start with the Pledge of Allegiance?
I have a
Pledge-
flag.
Okay. I pledge allegiance
To the
to the
flag
flag
of the United States of America,
America.
Of America.
To the republic.
of
to the republic
Republic.
for which it stands, one
One
nation,
Nation.
under
God,
God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
justice for all. Okay, thank you. All right, Trustee Denton, you want to lead us in prayer tonight?
Thank you, dear Lord, for this day. Thank you for this meeting. Help us to be productive. Amen.
Okay, great. General announcements? Madam Clerk?
Bear with me, Mr. Mayor. Pulling my agenda up myself. I do not have any general announcements this evening.
Okay, the next thing on the agenda is citizens address, limited to discussion of agenda items. Giovanni?
Yeah, let's pull it up here. We have another question about the grass cutting. Here it is. It says, are the grass cutting funds reimbursement from tickets issues to those owners who sell their property?
No. The answer is no, Giovanni.
Okay, that's fine. I'm just-
Okay. Next thing is the village clerk's report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. There being no further questions on citizens address. Okay. Approval of the minutes. Trustees would have received over the weekend the minutes submitted for June 1st regular board meeting, June 15th committee of the whole meeting, and the June 25th special board meeting. I would ask for a motion to approve them either separately or together.
Okay, I'd like to get a motion to approve, let's bundle these, if there's no objection. A motion to approve the board meetings for June 1st, 2020, June 15th, committee of the whole, and June 25th, special board meeting. Can I get a motion to approve those three meetings, minutes?
I move to approve the meeting minutes collectively.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
I didn't get the second, there's two people.
I think trustee Steve was ahead by a hair.
Okay, all right, motion to approve the minutes for the regular board meeting, committee of the whole, and special board meeting collectively by trustee House and seconded by trustee Steve. Any discussion? No discussion, roll call.
Trustee Denton,
Aye.
trustee Steve,
Aye.
trustee House,
Aye.
trustee Brown. Trustee Brown,
Aye.
trustee Holmes,
Aye.
trustee Henyard.
Aye.
Motion carries 6 ayes. Next thing on the agenda, communication. Any communications, Madam Clerk?
None, Mr. Mayor.
Engineers report. Engineer report. Ryan?
Good evening. Yes, Mayor. Can everyone hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Just a couple of items. Good evening, Mayor, Madam Clerk, trustees, and residents. Just a couple of items on my report that was emailed over to everyone. We applied for a DCO grant funding for improvements to the elevated water tower The grant we applied for was 1.7 million. We should know whether or not we received that in about 60 days. The other item, there is an ITEP grant that's available August 21st to November 2nd, and that is a beautification grant. Also, you can apply for funding for viewing areas and also pedestrian bike facilities and landscaping. Last item I have is the Cook County CDBG grant. The village was awarded $100,000. I did attach a location map for the street locations. That project will go out to bid within the next couple of weeks. And that ends my report, and I will entertain any questions that the board may have.
I got it.
Trustee Holmes, yeah, Mike, go ahead.
Yes.
Go ahead, Trustee Holmes.
Good evening, how you doing? First and foremost,
Good
you know what, I would like to, and if any board member would like to come aboard, sit down with you and seriously have a dialogue on where and how and when that we can function to get some real strong funds to get these streets together, to get these alleys completely together instead of water running all down in these garages, rotting them out, and then the residents is stuck with it. And also have some real dialogue and structure with whoever we need to bring around the table to get the lights, the complete lights fixed in the village of Dalton. I mean, it's been way too long with the streets, been way too long with these alleys. And I mean, we're just spinning the wheels, just patching and patching and patching. If I would like to have a meeting, if any board member would like to have a meeting, I would like to sit around this table and get some real strong dialogue and then let the residents know and have input in this too. You know, I'm just tired of riding myself bump to bump. Okay, if you're the engineer, let's get together. And let's get together with those other heads where we can get some funds and some money to get this village together.
Yes, that's not a problem, trustee. Whenever you'd like to sit down and meet, I'm more than available. With regards to the light, the village administrator did just apply along with Cook County for a DCO grant to replace all of the lights within the village. And that happened within the last 30 days, if I'm not mistaken. But just let me know when you're available to want to sit down and meet, and I'll be there, trustee.
10-4.
Question I got, is there any update? What's the likelihood of us getting approved for that grant for the lights? That the village administrator.
We will, it's a competitive grant. We will know within 60 days whether or not we will be a part of. Cook County applied for the grant. We were part of that grant. So it's a good likelihood that we'll get it because it was a joint application and Cook County was spearheading the grant application.
Also, the second question, you said the grant for the elevated water tank, is that repainting it?
It's more than just repainted. There are some structural issues with the tank. If you drive past it, you can see it's rusting. We did a inspection of the interior of the tank. There's also some issues with that's the inside of the tank. There's some areas that need to be repaired as well. So it's more than just repainting. It's also fixing some of the issues with the structural integrity of the steel elevated water tank itself.
All right, and is a good chance we'll get that grant?
Again, that's a competitive grant. We'll know in 60 days. We will try our best to get it. We're on the phone with DCO talking, and then also the mayor is working with the legislators downstate to put us in the best situation to get this grant funding.
Okay, and this last question I got is the community block grant. You said it's $100,000 this year?
Yes, it is.
That's less than it's been over the past few years. Am I right?
That is correct. The village of Dalton was very fortunate enough to receive some CDBG funding. A lot of municipalities who typically receive funding did not receive funding at all. We typically receive about $200,000 each year.
Okay, and is there a specific reason why it's $100,000 this year?
The county received less funding altogether from HUD.
Okay, that's it. That's all the questions I got.
I might add that it's approximately $50,000 a block to resurface a street. So with the 200,000 that we received last year, actually we did what was about 6 streets, because we did, I think, 4 full blocks. Correct me if I'm wrong. We did some half blocks and some patching there that we try to extend the money. But this year with the $100,000, we're going to be very limited to what we can actually do. Secondly, I want to mention the fact that what was it? You said $1.7 million, Ron, for the tower?
Yes.
I think we got an estimate over $2 million to paint and do the structural repair work there. So even if we are awarded that grant, I'm not sure if we're going to get the whole amount, and if we're going to have to do matching funds to get the repairs made. And speaking with the legislatures, they're going to push forward to see if we can matter of fact, to try to get that money. But like you said, it's very competitive, and we may not be successful in receiving it, but we're going to stay positive that we can do something there.
Mayor, how y'all going about?
I'm sorry, who was that?
May I be recognized?
Go ahead, Trustee Hall.
Thanks, Mayor. Thanks, Tiffany. You know,
Yeah.
I'm gonna say this. We, as a unit, need to just get one figure to cover the whole village of Dalton, not just half, not just 25%, not just a portion. If we going down state and talk to these legislators, we need to cover this whole village, street by street, block by block, not just one section here. That's not going to work. That's just not even 25% of the package. We need the whole package. I mean, they're doing what they're doing downstate and in other municipalities. We need to get on board and do what we have to do. We need the whole complete package, give them the money that we need to complete the village of Dalton. And we don't want to be half-stepping with these legislators down there. They're getting their whole package. I done rode through many areas in the suburbs. I'm looking at their streets, I'm looking at their lights, and I'm looking at ours. We need to give them a whole full package. This is what we demand. This is what we want. I'm done.
Trustee Holmes, we have Senator Harris that has been working on behalf, of course, with our 2 state reps too. I submitted a figure to them and we always submit a large figure to them in regards to getting appropriations to get the streets done. And they come back with the best package that they can. You have to realize that they also represent other villages that need street work done too. We have been successful in getting a grant to do the lights around the village hall and around the parking lots in the downtown area. And Public Works is working on that. And that's going to be done. This other grant, we're hopefully that Engineer Ron had mentioned, hopefully we'll be successful in being able to get the whole town done. Some towns have been successful in getting it done, and we'll hopefully that we can get ours done also.
Yeah, I understand that and I respect that, but those towns are done already. So they shouldn't have a problem by getting funds and money to complete Dalton.
Not all the towns are done. Not all the towns are done. So I believe our legislators are working very hard trying to get as much money as they can to bring back to the village of Dalton to get things done here.
I got a question for, may I be recognized, Mayor?
Go ahead, Trustee.
Either village administrator or Ron Smith, has any of the capital bill money been released to us yet? That the new governor, when he got elected, passed a big capital bill?
It has not. And I did apply for that money. I specifically sent in a request and ask to all of our legislators. And as of today, I haven't heard anything. And I also wanted to add just a correction. The money that's going to be reimbursed for the coronavirus, Trustee Denton, is specifically coming from the county. it's coming from Cook County, and it's 75% they're gonna reimburse of whatever we spend. So it's a matter of us keeping up the receipts and submitting the receipts. I just wanted to be more thorough with that answer. And I tried to get on earlier and I had issues, so please forgive me, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Mayor, I had a question.
Go ahead, trustee.
My question was, how are we going about picking the streets as it relates to fixing or paving a block? How do we choose which block gets paved over another?
Well, what we have done in the past is that myself, Ron, and Matt have went through the town and noted those streets that were in bad conditions. And then we made a determination as to ones that were worse, and those blocks were paved.
So it wasn't like a study or something done? You just eyeballed it and said which ones was bad and not? Is that what you're saying?
What did you say?
But
I said, so basically, was there a study done saying which streets was worse than the others? Or are you saying you guys just eyeballed it and said, this street is worse, we're gonna pave this street?
Well, we took in consideration the number of times those streets have been repaired with potholes. And there were some of the streets that actually the field did not take because it had been repaired so many times or patched so many times. And then we made a determination of which ones to get done.
Okay, so my next question is, why does it take so long for you guys to fill potholes? For instance, I know my block, we've been waiting several months, and I've called myself, I sent emails as well, and I know y'all came out today to patch my holes on my street, but it's like a roller coaster, and it's scattered throughout. It ain't like in one segment where you could cut half the block and pave it. It's throughout my block. So why is it taking so long for you guys just to put the stuff in the holes when we call in?
You have to ask the superintendent that. I talked to him last week in regards to doing potholes, and I talked to one of the foremen, and they said they were going to be out a portion last week and this week to start doing potholes. Not start, but to continue to do potholes. But in between that time, you know, there's been some furloughs, and also with this COVID thing that was going on, there was a lot of adjustments that was made over in public works. So Matt, are you on now?
Yes, sir, I'm here.
Do you have can you answer the trustee's question?
About pothole filling, yeah, they were out today in your area, trustee. I was out there following them around. They've been working the area. We kind of been bouncing around in different areas. So today was kind of rough, but we had them out there with the grass cutting, the furlough days. We've had a few employees that have left us. So the minimum staffing is, you know, it's down. So, but we're getting out as we can. We're trying to break it all up between the tall grass at the vacant homes, the street lights, the asphalt. We've had multiple water main breaks throughout the past couple of months. Today we had 2. So we're doing the best that we can with the staff.
Okay, so if you guys pick streets, such as, I know your street was paved, Mayor. How did you go about picking that when I think your block only have 4 or 5 houses on it, and other blocks have, say, 15, 30 houses on the block? But your street was paved, and from my understanding, it cost $50,000 or so to pave a street. Why was your street chosen over others, which I know mine was worse than yours, but how did that happen?
Well, I'm gonna be honest with you. I didn't make a determination to pave my street. You can talk to the engineer about that, but my street was one of the worst streets in the village. And if you had looked and see, and I didn't mention the fact that I needed to pave, if you had came down my street, you would have thought that it probably had been patched over 100 times or even more.
Right.
And
Mayor, you just said that
you could talk to my neighbors, and they can tell you, because they made a ton of complaints into the village about their street.
Everybody make complaints about their streets, but I'm saying there's other ones that's, to me, worse off because it has more people living on the block that I would have thought you would have paved over one that has 4 houses. And from my understanding, you had 2 vacancies back there. And you just stated that yourself, what's his name, Matt Stacy, and the engineer was the one that made the decision on which streets get paved. Now you're saying you didn't make a decision for your street, but you just stated otherwise.
I did not make a decision on my street, and there's more than 4 houses on my block.
Okay, that answered my question. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Trustee Henyard, I just wanted to add something onto that. So last year sometime, Ron Smith, please chime in, village engineer. We applied for the Village of Dalton Pavement Management Plan. And what that does is it actually surveyed the entire village, the condition of the streets. And we actually have this all in a system that we're putting together now. So in the future, when streets need paved, you can actually reference this. We're also entering all the information as far as the last time the street was paved. All of this data will be stored. And it was done through, in conjunction with CMAP, and it was done with basically like a car that drives around and actually measures the density and all of the, specifics of the street. So moving forward, we'll actually have a catalog of when the last time a street was fixed, when it needs to be fixed. Also, it will be done through a computer system as far as the worst streets in the village. And we are putting that together. I've been working on that with the village engineer as well as Matt Stacy, CMAP, and the county. And when that information is available, it will be available to everybody as far as on this.
That is correct. There was a grant for $30,000 at no cost to the village or the residents, and they did an analysis of all of the roadways within the village except for the state routes. The draft report is completed. CMAP, along with the company who provided the analysis report, ARA, they are going to do a Zoom presentation of that report and give you an overall condition of the roadways. And then also it'll give a cost estimate to fix the roads, either to pave them, reconstruct them, or to just provide crack seal maintenance on that. So that will be a report that we can have, and when we go out and we can give that report to the legislators saying, hey, we need $20 million to fix the roadways within the village.
Okay, any other questions?
Yeah, I have one more for the engineer, Mr. Smith. Mr. Smith, could we just take a look at the retention ponds regarding the water situation and the backup of waters? I know some of the sewers, we have to clean some of these sewers, and then the residents too have to take a look at some of these sewers. But can we take a look at the retention ponds to see and make sure they are working adequately?
Yes, whenever you'd like to meet in the field, trustee, just let me know.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Which retention ponds are you talking about, trustee? Engineer?
Yes,
Brian?
I'm here.
I like to take a look at all the retention ponds. Wherever the water is backing up at, we need to look at, east, west side, all through the village of Dalton, where this water is backing up at, and see why this water is backing up. If the retention pond is the problem, we need to fix it. If the sewer is the problem, we need to clean the sewers.
Okay, let's move forward. Any more questions? All right, Madam Clerk. Next thing on the agenda is committee reports. Finance, Trustee House.
All right. Good evening, everybody. Just one note for the Finance Committee. As is our customary meeting, we will have our Finance Committee meeting on the final Wednesday of this month. This Wednesday will be July 30th at 5:30 p.m. will be the Finance Committee meeting. So I encourage everybody to Zoom in or send your questions and comments. I do appreciate the comments that have been sent through email, and I'll discuss some of those at the Finance Committee meeting. So again, Wednesday, July 30th at 5:30 p.m. will be our regularly scheduled Finance Committee meeting. That concludes my report, Mayor.
Okay, thank you, trustee House. Next thing on the agenda is housing. Trustee Brown?
Good evening. The report for the month of June 1st through June 30th. We had as-is inspections 12, board ups 1, sale inspections 31, and rental license, we had 115. That's the end of my report for June, Mayor.
Okay, thank you, trustee Brown. Next is police and fire, trustee Holmes.
From trustee Holmes, I have no report. I'm still in communication with the chief, but be mindful with their police department. You know, we still have crime. Some are everywhere. We're not high in crime as everybody else. So I ask that you please be vigilant. Look at your doorbell, your cameras, do everything you can to be safe. Do not your car running, because we still have carjackings not only in Dalton but across the United States and in the city. I'll be talking with the fire department again to see where they had. One thing with the fire department, you know, I would like to have the board sit down and talk with the chief and also the mayor to see how can we get our own ambulance service to keep money in the village. You know, we have some professional fire departments, we have some professional paramedics, and then also we can get a training center to bring in paramedic training and hire some of these individuals in Dalton and put them in this paramedic school. That's what I'm working on now. So that's the end of my report.
Mayor, I have something if I may.
Who is that?
This is Chief Mobley.
Go ahead, Chief.
All right, good evening, Citizens Board. I wanted to give out a question. A citizen had a question about how to contact. We don't have a 311, so I want to give out the number, and also Ms. Nixon will be putting it out on our website. But the number for everyone, if you have a non-emergency call, but you would like the police or fire to respond to something, but it's not an emergency, the number is 708-201-3240. Once again, that number is 708-201-3240, and that is to our dispatch center, and you can address your concerns there. And if you need to contact the police department, they will transfer you directly. But if you need police service, that is the number for you all to contact. I know Trustee Hinyard called me last week and had a question because a citizen called. We have 311 is only in the city of Chicago. That's all.
Thank you for responding.
And several years ago, I looked into putting in a 311 system, and it was just really astronomically expensive to put in that 311 system. So the number the chief gave you is a non-emergency number that goes into dispatch, and then of course the emergency number of 911. Now, Chief, we've recently put a number in place for anonymous calls in case people want to report crime and do not want to be identified. So can you give that number out? And that number is monitored on a daily basis where we can actually send police over and or surveil a situation to correct it. Chief?
Yes. Okay. Yes, that number is we got a crime hotline. If you want to remain anonymous, as the mayor said, you can report any type of crime or activity anonymously. That number is 708-896-7817.
You want to repeat it again?
708-896-7817. And that's reviewed on a daily basis. I'm sorry, Mayor, that's reviewed on a daily basis. It comes to my email with along with the deputy chief and the administrative sergeant.
And that number will actually be put on the website, Giovanni, and posted on Channel 4 and 99.
Yes, that's correct. The number is actually already on the website. It's under the directory. So it's listed with all the other phone numbers for the departments throughout the village.
Okay, great. All right, great. Is that it, Trustee Holmes?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay. Public Works, Trustee Steve.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mayor. I want to read, home with disposable garbage has resumed yard pickup waste, as well as tree branch pickup. Make sure you put the yard waste in a brown bag, not plastic, and branches need to be cut up in 3 to 4 feet sections, tied and bundled. Is the conversation, if you've been on a meeting, the conversation about grass cutting, because of the COVID and the loss of revenue, we haven't been able to cut grass like we really want to. I know Public Works, it has been out cutting grass. And then as of today, I see we have a little bit of money set aside for some grass cutting. So we will move forward with that. But just be patient with the village. I know I see it, but just the finances right now are not all the way great. So we can't cut grass like we usually have been over the past few years, but we are very well aware of it and we are working on it. Also, if you got any questions, you can always call Public Works 708-201-3240. And if you got any other questions with dealing with Public Works, you can always call my village cell phone at 708-793-0034. At 708-793-0034 if you got any questions dealing with Public Works. And that's the end of my report for Public Works. And I would like to move on to Melanie Fitness, man.
I got a question about Public Works.
Go ahead.
My question is, I get a lot of calls about people having to bundle the tree branches together.
Yeah.
You know why we allow that, or can we change that? Because one person been calling Public Works and not getting through. They cut the tree down that's on the parkway, which is our tree, and they told them that to do it up, that's impossible. I drove down and saw it. They want to just get branches up. So is there something we need to put in place to change that so that they can just come out with it in shredder?
Repeat that. You broke up. Repeat that. Repeat the last part. You were breaking up.
Okay. A resident broke down a tree that was on the parkway on Ellis. Now, they called several times to Public Works to come pick it up. They told them they had to bundle the branches up. Now, when I drove by, I saw it, that was like impossible. And not only that, they're doing our job because that's the parkway, meaning that's our tree. But they trimmed it because it was, interfering with their parking or their vehicle. So my question is, we need to change the ordinance so that people don't have to put it in 2 bundles, because all we do when we come by is just throw it in the shredder. So what is the reason for us telling them to bundle up the branches after they did all that work? Who want to sit there and bundle up branches?
Man, Stacy, could you answer that question? I can answer to the best of my knowledge. From my understanding, that's home with disposal.
Trees that are alive.
What was that?
Was the tree dead or alive, Trustee?
I'm not sure. I don't know. I just saw branches.
If the tree is alive and the resident just doesn't want it there, they've come in and asked if they, can they cut it down? If they want to cut it down, they can cut it down, but they got to have it removed. You cut a whole tree down, now we have to go pick it up, whether we put it in a roll-off or spend a whole day out there trying to chip it all. But that's, any resident that's taken down a tree in the parkway has had it removed.
Okay, no, they didn't cut the whole entire tree down. They just trimmed it, got the branches that was leaning over their vehicle and put it in the front for pickup. And then they called you guys several times, didn't get through, so then they called me. So now I'm asking what is needed so that we can go pick up the limbs.
Well, we're going out, we're jumping around from, like I said, from everything. We're kind of hopping each area, limited with staff, furlough days. We're going out, we're picking up what we can. We tell the residents that if you trim your tree, if you tie it up in 4-foot sections, tied up, Homewood will pick it up on your garbage day. But as soon as we get into the area, we'll pick it up.
Matt, where did that rule come from? The 3 to 4 foot sections? Is that our rule? Or is that home disposable rule? Home disposable.
Well, that's their regulation for picking up tree branches. If they're tied up in 4 foot, they'll pick them up and they'll take them on your garbage day. It saves them the hassle of being there for 20 minutes trying to pick up loose branches. They grab them, toss them and they go.
So you
But-
say, so you saying if Public Works picks it up, it doesn't really technically have to be in 3 to 4 foot sections?
They don't, but it's just, we're gonna be there. It makes it easier. It makes the job easier and quicker to get done.
Because I know sometimes residents don't have the tools. They may get it down, but they may have the tools to cut it up in 3 to 4 foot sections.
Right.
So I've seen Public Works actually pick it up, but I understand if they don't have the tools or wherewithal to even cut it up, Public Works will get it. That's what you're saying?
We'll pick it up, yeah.
Okay, well, I'm gonna email you the address because they've been out there a while and they're turning brown. So I hope you can get to them this week. Thanks.
Yeah, send me the email, send me the address, and we'll go out there and take care of it tomorrow.
I'm doing it right now. Thank you.
From what I understand in speaking with Homewood Disposal, the reason that they want the branches cut up into 4 foot sections tied up is that they have one-man trucks. And that one man can actually pick up the bundle and put it in the trash there. But just as Trustee Henry mentioned, the fact that, you know, when some of our residents cut down or trim branches and things like that, they're a little bit longer than 4 feet. And if they would cut up into 4 feet sections, if they do, Homewood will pick them up. But in some cases, they can't cut them into 4 foot sections. So that's where our Public Works would have to come in and pick up those branches. Okay, Trustee Steve, you want to move on to Melanie?
Yes. So there's an update on Melanie Fitness. As we know, Melanie Fitness is closed right now, and we're not able to open up Melanie Fitness, even though phase 4 is going on in the state and other gyms are opening up, but these are franchise gyms. And even in the gyms that are opening up, there's so many stipulations and rules. You got to move the equipment 6 feet apart. If somebody takes a shower, you got to have somebody clean the shower right after that. It's just a lot, but financially, we're not able to open Melanie Fitness right now. So right now it is on sale. We have put it out there for sale. I have a few walkthroughs coming up with some people who are interested. We want to keep it a workout facility for the village and for the residents of Dalton that have a place that they can go work out. The Detox Cafe is open up in Melanie Fitness. So if you want to go up there and support her, that's always well and good. But Melanie Fitness is not able to open up right now because financially the village cannot handle it. And I also want to add that we are very well aware that people have paid memberships up, and we are compiling the information right now to work on a reimbursement plan for people who paid up. Some people paid up for the whole year. So we are working on that. We are very well aware of it, and there's going to be some communications coming out through the communication department, through the social media pages, and through Channel 499 about Melanie Fitness. So that's an update of what's going on with Melanie Fitness. Financially, we are not able to open it up right now because you still have people on layoffs, you still have people on furlough days, and we cannot really open up a gym when you still have people taking furlough days. So that's the update. That's the end of my report, man.
Yes, and as of today, I just heard that Chicago is cutting back on their phase 4, and which includes the gyms and personal training and things like that. So a lot of the gyms are going to be further restricted to having participants in there, clients in there to exercise. Okay, well, thank you very much, Trustee.
I have one question. May I be recognized?
Go ahead, Trustee.
Okay, for the people, the residents that had automatic pay, is it still coming out or have they been refunded?
Yeah, no, we stopped that. And we're gathering information to refund everybody their money back.
Okay, because I had a resident say they would still have money coming out, so.
No, we stopped that.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, Trustee Brown, thank you. All right, next thing on the agenda is corporate bills. Trustee House?
I'm here. I thought we did corporate bills at the last meeting. I don't remember seeing that one on the agenda.
We did.
We did.
We did not receive any warrant list for this meeting, to my knowledge.
Right.
All right, old business item A, approval of the fiscal year 2020 budget.
Okay, a motion that we approve. The
Trustees,
fiscal
Mayor,
2020.
I would adjust your motion for the fiscal 21.
Okay, that's right, 21, okay. Let's make that adjustment, Madam Clerk.
So noted.
Okay. Is there a motion?
I motion that we approve the fiscal year budget of 2021.
Your second?
Second.
It's been motioned by Trustee House and seconded by Trustee, is that Trustee Steve? Is that Trustee Steve
Yes.
on the second? All right, any questions?
Yeah, I got two. I'm just trying to, hold on. And can I go now, Mayor, or what?
Go ahead, Trustee.
Okay, I know they kind of hit on it at, in the beginning at 6 o'clock, but for the special events and activities, who controls those? Who control the special events and activities and approve it?
Usually myself and or the village administrator.
Okay, are we doing anything, or do you have anything on the books? I guess, let me ask, for this year?
We don't have anything right now in regards to that. Some of the little things that we've had that funded by either businesses or things like that, but nothing major on the books right now because of this COVID activity.
Okay, and for the red light cameras, a resident asked me, did they do away with red light cameras, or is that true or no?
They did not do away with red light cameras. There is, from what I understand, and correct me, John Murphy, if you listen here, there is some legislation that's being looked over now in the state legislature in regards to red light cameras. And I'm not sure if it included all the towns, but I knew it included some of the towns. Attorney Murphy, are you there?
Yes, I am. Legislation which would have phased out red light cameras was passed by the House, the Illinois House, at the beginning of this calendar year. It didn't go to the Senate, and then everything collapsed with COVID. So there, and as everybody knows, at the last legislative session, it was abbreviated by 1 or 2 days. So as of now, red light cameras are still fully authorized.
No, Attorney Murphy, correct me if I'm wrong. I thought there were certain municipalities that were not included in the legislation.
In one draft of the bill, there was a home rule, non-home rule differentiation. So we would have been okay under that version, but there was a lot of opposition to that, because in terms of red light cameras, it didn't seem to make any difference to a lot of the elected officials, whether it was home rule or not home rule. But as of now, there's nothing front and center on the elimination of red light cameras.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay.
Trustee Henry.
Yeah, are we giving breaks or anything like that when people have an issue with the red light cameras?
Well, we're not giving any breaks, and we can't really once the red light camera is issued, ticket is issued, they're afforded a court date. Now, there was I'm not sure if it's 2 or 3 months where people that had been issued tickets, they missed their court dates. So Chief, correct me here and help me out here. Those people that had missed their court dates because of the COVID and the court being out of session, they can in fact get another court date? Chief Mobley.
Hello. Yeah, during the time of the COVID, when it first hit, everything was kind of suspended. So if citizens had court dates that were up during that time until we got back on track, everyone was sent out a new court date. Sometimes we have.
Someone has some background noise.
You breaking up, Mayor. What did you say?
I said someone has some background noise on. If they can, mute that. But go ahead, Chief.
Okay. Yeah, as I was saying, citizens that had court dates during the Height of the COVID, they were due to the shutdown that the governor had in place. Now that we have reopened, those people that had tickets, they were sent out notices and they are able to come out to court. And I do have citizens that send me a notice or come to the police department on a regular if they miss court to try to get another court hearing. At that time, I would send a new court date referral over to Safe Speed, and then they will put them on the next court docket.
Okay. Did I answer your question, trustee?
Yes, it did. It did. And
Okay.
my next question, I know we talked earlier, trustee House, as related to putting money in different accounts. Like say for instance, when we get new money in, such as the cannabis, it was something for like $5,000. I was asking, can we put it somewhere else so it don't go in the general fund so we can kind of advocate for something positive amongst the community? So I just want to know what everybody thought of that.
Right now, trustee, with the limited funds that we are getting from the state, the amount of money that we've lost from sales tax and video gaming, which is significant, you know, it's kind of hard to try. And I know we want to keep the residents, I won't say occupied, but hopefully provide some type of activities for them. It's kind of hard right now to pay our bills. And just as trustee House mentioned earlier, that we have to monitor what we're spending on a monthly basis and make adjustments to different accounts in the budget. So I'm not sure if we have that luxury.
Mayor, if I could be recognized.
Go ahead, trustee.
Yeah, well, we definitely are going to be fiscally tight. But I would suggest, just as we have events or things that come up, I mean, we can review them as they come up and see if there's any wiggle room, if there's any funds that can be allocated. I would just say let's take that on an as needed or as discussed basis. I wouldn't think that we would put something in at this point in time if we haven't identified what the activity is. But if there's a good activity, I would imagine that the board or mayor would definitely get behind supporting great initiatives for the resident, or I definitely would get behind that.
Yeah. Well,
okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to suggest that's something we can look at on a per event basis.
Okay, well, I do have one. The reason why I'm bringing it up is in the past, we did utilize it. It was the building permit holiday fee. And basically what we did was allow residents to come in and basically tell them themselves of the work they're doing in the community, such as a new roof, a fence. And basically we gave them the permit for free. We waived it. So a lot of people ask me about that. I would love to put that back out there, whether it's just for only 30 days and people can come in, pull a permit, and they have to be homeowners, meaning live in the Village of Dalton, not rent, but homeowners. And I would love to bring that back up if that's possible.
One of the things, trustee, that when I discussed it with our permit person, Sandra, it was costing us between $40,000 and $50,000 a year in fees. And secondly, there was some fraud, if you will, in there where, and I'm not saying, this was all the homeowners, but there was some fraud that was detected where the homeowners came in, got the permit free or paid a reduced fee for it, and they didn't actually do the work. They had contractors come in and doing the work. So at any rate, in this time, I mean, that's something to work as a consider, but we're struggling to keep the village going too.
Okay, well, that's the first time, for the record, I'm ever hearing of any fraud with that program. But we can also allocate a certain dollar amount. It don't have to be 30, 40,000. It could be $5,000, like just an initiative by everybody being down in at home. If you're paying attention, during COVID, that's all people was doing, was going to Home Depot and Menards and working on their homes. I'm pretty sure people weren't pulling permits. So it's just a way to level out what people are doing in the community.
Well, when I said $40,000 to $50,000, I mean that's what the revenue that the village lost in taking in average on a yearly basis that was in place. So I would suggest that rather than us discuss it here, we discuss in a committee meeting and maybe come up with some type of solution to say yeah or nay.
Mayor, if I can be recognized.
Go ahead, trustee.
I was gonna kind of similarly suggest bringing it in committee, and maybe we can find a dollar amount to cap it. But I mean, so that way it can kind of be maybe best of both worlds.
Yeah. Well, in doing so, that's fine. But I think it should be discussed in committee, and then the solution come up. And then in furtherance, maybe we can send an inspector out to, in fact, determine whether the homeowner actually did or if they bought a contractor in to get the benefit of the free permit. Okay, next thing on the agenda, the
We're
approval
still
of the
on
budget.
appropriation, yeah.
Yes. Okay, trustee Henry, does that conclude your questions?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Okay, anyone else?
Yeah,
Okay,
trustee.
further question? Okay, go ahead, trustee Holmes.
Before we make a move, you know what? I'm asking that we table this budget. I'm not comfortable with it, so that's all I gotta say.
All right, Madam Clerk.
Is that a motion?
We do not have a motion on the floor.
I motion that we table it.
I'm sorry, trustee, I couldn't hear you.
I motion that we table it.
Motion to table?
Second.
It's been motion to table this budget and seconded. Is there a roll call?
There will be, 1 second. Okay. Trustee Denton, on the motion to table the appropriation budget orders. Trustee Denton.
Aye.
Trustee Steve.
No.
Trustee House.
No.
Trustee Brown.
No.
Trustee Holmes.
Aye.
Trustee Henyard.
Aye.
3 ayes, 3 nays.
I'm gonna vote on this no.
Motion fails.
Okay, we have, what's the deadline, trustee House, on getting the budget passed?
July 30th.
Okay, there's no more meetings before July. For the next meeting, and we run into a deadline of July 30th to get a budget passed. So, okay, Madam Clerk,
Mayor, may I be recognized?
go ahead.
Administrator Scott, I don't know if this is dealing with the budget or money. Is the money out that the money that people can take advantage of if they're 2 billing cycles behind on their water bill payment? Is that still available?
Yes, it is, and I encourage everyone to do it because I think the program will be ending soon. The Mothers Organization, Single Mothers Organization, as well as New Community Church, we will be ending the program. They inform me if more people don't step forward. So if you can, please, through the end of next month, I believe, we will still be taking the water bill fund into account. And it's $100 per resident, per home, and you just have to come in and fill out the form. It's a few questions, your name, account number, and how much you're in arrears. If you don't know, we can look it up. But in order to qualify, you do have to be 2 billing cycles behind. We have, unfortunately, had a few people that applied and their bill was current or it was at a 0 balance. And unfortunately, we're not able to give that to people. We are looking to help people that are really behind on their bills. So you have to be 6 months behind. Yes, we still have that available.
Okay, and I might add that while funds last. Hello?
Yeah.
Village Administrator?
Yes, that is, okay. Yeah, they said that they're running out of funds, so they would like for people to do as soon as possible, because if not, they're going to allocate the money for other things in the community.
Yeah. So that's why the funds last, come first serve. Okay, Madam Clerk, we got the motion the motion did not pass to table the budget, but we still need a motion to approve the budget.
We had an underlying motion by trustee House, second by trustee Steve.
Okay, we need to take a vote on that.
No further discussion?
No.
Trustee Denton. This is to pass the appropriation and budget ordinance. Trustee Denton.
No.
Trustee Steve.
Aye.
Trustee House.
Aye.
Trustee Brown. Trustee Brown.
Aye.
Thank you. Trustee Holmes. Trustee Holmes, you're on mute.
No.
You. Trustee Henyard.
Aye.
4 ayes, 2 nays.
Okay, motion passed, budget, appropriation budget passes. The next thing on the agenda is the renewal of the general liability insurance.
Okay, good evening, Mayor Rogers and the board. So I would like to bring forth Valerie Lewis, who is she's the account executive with Alliant Mesereau. This is the time of the year we need to renew our general liability insurance. We do have some extra coverages that needed to be added, some being cyber liability. Also for the above ground storage tank. We also added a pollution liability, which for example could be, correct me if I'm wrong, Valerie, but for if there was something similar to the Flint water crisis, that would be covered under actually the pollution liability, and also the defense costs on the safety national program are in addition to the limit, so that they do not erode the limits. So I'm going to have Valerie Lewis. Ms. Lewis, if you could please go into further detail in regard to the general liability renewal.
Yes, thank you, Ms. Scott. Good evening, everyone. In your packets, you received 2 proposals. One is a detailed proposal. The other is a summary of those items. And I'd like to go over the summary and briefly just give you some highlights from that program. For example, on the summary, it's entitled, the document is entitled Village of Dalton Casualty Property Renewal 2020-21. If you see on the second page of that, you will see a tower illustration that shows you the program that you are coming out of, which is with Munich. Munich offered your liability program at a $100,000 retention, which is a large self-insured deductible, basically, for a $6 million limit across your liability coverages. And above them was Hallmark Insurance Company for your excess liability. This year, Munich did not want to renew at the $100,000 limit, basically because of some activity with losses. And there were 3 in your packet, 3 dates of losses that I highlighted that Munich, as well as the company that we are recommending you move to are also concerned about. So we will be addressing those types of claims. They were within the law enforcement liability area. But basically, because of the losses, we shopped the coverage to various carriers. And before I go to that page, I just wanted to say that the result of us shopping the coverages resulted in Safety National being the option for you that was not too egregious of an SIR level. Munich wanted to raise their SIR from $100,000 to $500,000, which we thought was egregious, and also it simultaneously reduced the limit of the coverage from 6 million down to 3 million. So we were able to negotiate with Safety National to maintain your $6 million limit, as well as be able to have your excess liability remain in place as well with Hallmark. So Safety National offered you coverage at a $250,000 retention on your liability and your auto liability, your general liability and your auto liability. And as Ms. Scott stated earlier, your defense costs will be within your self-insured retention, but they will be in addition to your limits. So they will not erode the limit of coverage that you have.
Also, the important thing about this program is that because there has been some loss activity in the public officials areas and law enforcement areas, those retention levels will be going up. And what I am proposing is that the village do a lot of work within the risk management area to control and mitigate losses going forward. There are things that that Attorney Murphy is doing with the claims that are existing. However, for things that we can control, I'm really advocating that we seriously engage in a risk management program to control future losses. The property program is still going to be with STAR, and your limits are shown. The tower to the left is what the program was when it was issued last year versus the limits that you have this year, which is 48 million in total insured value. The deductible will remain the same at $25,000, and that's for your buildings and your personal property within your buildings. You also have a crime policy with AIG, and that will remain at the $10,000 limit, and that's for things like employee theft. Then you have the auto physical damage, which is physical damage to your vehicles, which is will be with Safety National, and the retention will be $25,000 for the comprehension and collision coverage for that, similar to what you have currently with the Munich program. Going to the next area is the marketing response. As you can see, we went to several markets, Safety National being one that we negotiated. At first, Safety National had some hesitation, and we really, because of our volume with Safety National, we are their largest broker in the country. We were able to go up to the top chain and say, this is what Dalton is trying to do. This is what they're turning corners, and they are doing things differently. And, you know, I am new to your account, but I have seen since I've been with Dalton what you were trying to do, and I was able to give a very good narrative to the underwriters. Then you'll see that Munich offered the premium of $684,600 at a reduced $3 million limit over a self-insured retention of $500,000, which is very expensive for a reduced limit. The rest of the markets are listed. We also contemplated pulling the law enforcement out and doing that separately with the carriers on a standalone basis, but it was cost prohibitive. So that's Kinsale and QBE. And then to the right of that grid are the markets where we went to for your cyber coverage. So we wanted to show you how the market was canvassed for your coverages. And we were able to get some good pricing for you on cyber coverage, which as Ms. Scott stated, is an area that you currently do not have right now. And since you are doing a lot of work over the airways, over the internet, have a lot of material that can be obtained through various agencies, we were conscious to make sure that the village could contemplate something that would protect you from things that happened like in Atlanta or Baltimore, where they had ransomware take over their system and they were not able to bill or do utilities, collections, things of that nature. So we think that's a very essential coverage for you. The next page is your premium summary. And basically, with the changes that we're making going to Safety National, we were able to save the village $18,044, which is a 2% difference. My number is slightly different than yours because there was a computation issue on the packet that you received. But around about $18,044 is the difference between the Munich program and Safety National, with Safety National being cheaper. The next section is for the additional coverages that we recommend: cyber, pollution, above ground tanks. Those, with all of those added to the numbers above, you would be at a $18,386 difference, with that being additional premium. So we wanted to just highlight that those are the three areas that we think you are exposed in right now and that you do not have any coverage for. So those are things we would like to look at. And then it's important to point out that the marketplace right now is very, very difficult. As we are all going through COVID, that's been a special challenge. But prior to COVID, the market was hardening. where property rates were very tight, and that was due to natural disasters, floods, and things that were happening. And then you had the pandemic on top of everything else. So that has affected the market conditions. And some underwriters have withdrawn actually from the market. Cook County has always been a especially difficult area because of the litigious nature of Cook County and the large awards that are seen in Cook County. So many carriers are not willing to even participate in Cook County business. Another area is that law enforcement claims continue to rise, and settlements seem to increase as public trust in law enforcement seems to be at an all-time low. So what I am proposing is that, and I've talked to Ms. Scott and to Ms. Johnson about this, is that we make sure that we engage in a program to do whatever changes we need to do to policies and make sure that we are being proactive in that area. Right now, it's just a really, really difficult time for police departments across the nation. So it's incumbent upon us to do whatever we can to engage in the trust in the community again. Auto losses are particularly high for the Village of Dalton. So that's another area that we'll be looking at. And then employment-related claims is rising with the Me Too movement that happened prior to COVID. That's also been an area that impacted the marketplace last year and continues this year. The COVID-19 pandemic tails, they're very green right now. We do not know what that's all going to be like. And at this point in time, if anyone suspects that something is happening with COVID, we just ask that you would just file that with the carrier, because we aren't able to say yes or no whether or not something is or is not COVID related. We just leave that up to the carriers to determine that, and we expect that that's going to have a long tail on those types of claims. Traumatic brain injury has also been an issue with a lot of cases, and sexual molestation cases. So there's a lot to consider in the marketplace, but what we were able to do is move you all to a better program with Safety National. We just have a lot more negotiating power with them and able to help you, the village, get the coverages that you need to maintain your operations. And as listening to you all talk about how important your bottom line is for your budget items, this is another area that can really impact the success of whether you can buy new equipment or not. So my aim is to make sure that we work on risk management programs so that you can then start to see some savings and take that money and put it into other areas. Basically, the Munich program was just not something that we thought was viable for the village to continue with, and they really did not seem interested in continuing because they just were not competitive in their pricing. So wanted to just bring all of that to your attention in a summary format. And if you have any additional questions, please let me know. The detailed proposal has what each line of coverage has. It's, for instance, your liability, what the limits are, what the retentions are, how that coverage applies, things like that. So that's what's in the detailed proposal. It also has your premium summary, and it talks about marketing and the marketplace conditions. But that goes into general liability, law enforcement liability, public officials, each line of coverage, so that you can see what those things are. Are there any questions at this point? And your coverage, by the way, comes up on August 5th. So it's not something that comes up tomorrow. You do have a few weeks. And if needed, for the finance meeting or something, just let me know if you need me to be a part of that, or Ms. Scott will let me know that.
Mayor, can I be recognized? Or?
Go ahead, Trustee.
For this one, I know we mentioned that it's not until August 5th. Is this up for vote tonight, or is this for just discussion?
It can be voted on tonight, Trustee. It doesn't have to, given the deadline that you're looking at.
Okay, I have a few questions on here. I was thinking it was for a discussion. I didn't know that if we were looking to vote or not. Just the questions I had on some of them, it looked like the minimum earned premium was 100%, some was 25, or are they just different components depending on what we're?
No, those are different carriers' requirements. So one carrier may have a 25% earn, another carrier may say 100% because once you book the coverage, you can't cancel it and we get money returned. So that's just their requirements.
No, understood. And it looked like there were, our base coverages were reduced, but the umbrella, there was an umbrella put in place to kind of offset. Was that for cost reasons or?
Well, you had an umbrella last year as well, that Hallmark piece, and that's just to afford the village more coverage because, as you know, being in Cook County, our cases don't go for minimum. Usually the settlements get higher verdicts, you know, so we want to make sure that you have at least enough to cover, you know, a potential issue.
Okay, that concludes my questions.
Thank you.
I don't see you, Valerie.
You do
Oh,
not?
there you are.
Okay.
There you are.
All right.
Okay. You said our coverage is good till, I guess, 12 a.m. What, August 5th?
Yes, sir.
Okay. First of all, does any other trustees have any questions? And our next board meeting is when, Madam Clerk?
August 3rd.
August 3rd. Of course, we don't want to wait to the deadline. If there is no further question, I would suggest that we vote on this. If there is some further questions, like Valerie said, that we do have some time, but I don't want it to actually go down to the last minute, and just in case there's some other things that happen. Any comments from the board members?
Yeah, can we wait until the August 3rd board meeting to vote on this?
Well, I have no problem with waiting on August 3rd to vote on this, but I would suggest that we get all the questions answered out and not come to the August 3rd meeting and ask questions and said, okay, let's wait, not the vote, because the last thing we need, that we don't need, is not to have coverage.
I agree.
So when are we going to get, is there a reluctance to vote on this because you have more questions, Trustee Henyard?
It is for myself, and I don't want to prolong our meeting. So yes. So if it could
Okay.
wait, I would appreciate it. And I'll ask my questions via email.
Okay. All right, good. Okay. Any other? So are we going to take a vote on this tonight, or are we just going to? Is there any other trustees that have questions in regards to this? Okay, then why don't we go for a vote since someone said he had a question?
I don't have any additional questions, but I would feel more comfortable waiting as well till August 3rd.
Okay. I got no problems with that, but please, we're going to have to vote on this August 3rd, so we won't have a lapse in coverage. Now, Valerie, if we get the approval on August 3rd, there's no chance of us not having any coverage if the board approves this package.
No, we'll be, you'll be fine. You approve it on August 3rd in the evening. We get word either that night or in the morning. We then send the bind order to Safety National so that they could quickly get your policy numbers issued. Because primarily what the issue would be is making sure that your auto ID card is the main thing that you have. And then all the other stuff can be, worked out. But that's the main thing, is making sure you get your policy number and that we meet all of the subjectivities that Safety National has. So as of right now, after this meeting, I'm talking to Attorney Murphy, not tonight, but sometime this week, about how we communicate certain questions that they have about the cases.
Okay.
Pursuit cases.
So, for example, if the board does not approve the insurance on August 3rd, what happens? Just so the board would be aware.
You will not have any coverage.
That's simple.
Just that simple. We cannot, we can't extend. It would be cost prohibitive probably for you to try to get an extension as well, because that's from a carrier that really is trying to not play properly in the field. So
Okay. All right. Thank you very much, Valerie. So Madam Clerk, we'll move this to the August 3rd agenda. In between that time, trustees that have some questions, Trustee Henry said she'll communicate through email. So thank you for your time, Valerie.
Thank you, Valerie.
Okay. Madam Clerk, we'll move right along. Next thing is new business. There is no new business. And next thing is the mayor's report. The only thing I can say is that we're all trying to stay safe. Wear your mask, please. Results from scientists have shown that helps. Do your social distancing. Also, we're feeding people every Saturday. Every Saturday, the Melody Fitness Centers, we're passing out between 1,000 and 1,200 boxes of food. We get 1,000 gallons of milk. This past Saturday, we had 1,000 blocks of cheese. So if you're in need, if you know someone in need, please try to assist them, bring them. And some limited occasions, we can deliver that food for you, but please stay healthy, wear your mask, and we actually give out masks and sanitizer too. So next thing on the agenda is a citizen's report. No, I'm sorry, citizen's address. Citizen's
Mayor.
address. Giovanni,
Mayor, I got a question.
go ahead.
Is the reason that we don't have closed session on the agenda anymore to go in the back? And
Well-
the reason why I'm asking is because last meeting, the attorney was not present, and I sent the email and no one responded to it. So I was hoping I could get some answers tonight since he's here.
The answer is, I was online at 5:30. I had a Hazel Crest Village Board meeting that went from 6 to 8:30.
So you couldn't send another attorney like normally you do to give us
did-
answers?
I did not expect the meeting to start late and to go that long.
Well, the mayor started late,
Well,
but
I'm not blaming anybody, but that's the answer. And there's no executive session needed for that answer.
well, you could have emailed me. I asked, trying to do it the
Trustee
proper.
Henry, Trustee Henry. It's not on the agenda. If there's something that we need to talk to us in closed section, we can put it on the agenda next
Well,
time.
Mayor, I actually do because we using payroll as a payday loan. So I have a problem with that. So how do I entertain that if y'all don't put it on the agenda? So my only way is to bring it up here.
Well,
So
we're not
how
using-
can I get that answer?
Well, first of all, we're not using payroll as payday loan. And
Mayor,
secondly,
you
and
did.
sec-
It's
and-
an email.
and
I got the
secondly-
proof.
And secondly, if you want to have closed session, we'll put it on the next agenda, next
All
board
right.
meeting.
Yep.
Okay. All right, citizens address. Giovanni?
Yes, I'm here. We have several questions.
Okay.
One is, I stopped by the village 3 times to purchase my vehicle sticker, and each time the drive-through was closed. Was there a reason why it was closed?
I can't give a reason. I don't think there's anyone on from the drive-through, from the payment center. And actually, what time was it that they stopped by?
They didn't specify that.
Okay.
All right, next questions. Are the people that come out for the home inspection required to wear a face covering?
Are the people that you were cut out?
Are the people that come out for home inspections required to wear a face covering?
They should be wearing face coverings, yes.
Okay. Was an explanation ever given for the delay in payments made to the village of Dalton? What has been done to ensure delays of this magnitude never happen again?
John, you want to answer that?
Yeah, I didn't understand the question. Delay in payment of what to the village?
Right.
I'll
That's
ask.
State
if they-
fund?
Oh, go ahead.
Is that state funding or what payments?
The question. Oh,
There were, if I could chime in, I think there were some residents that sent messages to the board about checks not being posted for from the water bills or things being paid.
Uh-huh.
I think that's what the question is referencing.
Okay. I can't answer that. I'm not sure. I would have to try to find out. I'm not sure.
Okay, when will the in-person public meetings resume?
Right now, I don't foresee it being happening in the future, too soon in the future. John, there was some legislation or something put in place in regards to emergency meetings and things like that. Would they apply to these virtual meetings?
Well, yeah, we're still in the governor's declared crisis. And in light of the governor's, the fact that we're in phase 4, we're still in the governor's declaration of emergency, which allows you as the village president to make that determination whether it is prudent to continue with the electronic meetings, and the special rules that we're following tonight regarding Open Meetings Act will still apply in phase 4 as they do in phase 3. Even though we've gone from what I've called the rule of 10 to the rule of 50, we still have the social distancing spacing requirements of 6 feet, and which severely limits in-person meetings as well.
Now, I saw something, John, in regards to an expectation of a resurgence of this virus. Would that extend the legislation that's in place now by the governor?
It'll certainly keep phase 4 in place now. Our horrible fear is that we revert to phase 3. But I think everybody just saw the news headlines late today that Chicago just directed that bars be closed for any inside business. So if you're a bar without a retail restaurant license, starting Friday, you may not have in-restaurant service. So I don't have any more knowledge than anybody else, but reading the paper, listening to the media, we are far, far, far from being out of the woods on this thing.
Yeah. Okay. All right, Giovanni, next question.
Does the village still have a state government lobbyist?
No.
Okay. And
ever-
regarding,
Did we ever have a state lobbyist?
Yes, we did. Hey, baby, I'm on a Zoom meeting for the board meeting.
okay, next question. This is regard to the 2020 census. The question is asking, the census helped get more dollars towards capital funding. Is there more that can be done to ensure everyone is being counted?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear Elizabeth, you want to talk on that? I didn't hear the whole thing.
Well, I just wanted to add that we are continuing to actively put the word out about the census. I know at the food giveaways every Saturday, we're signing people up. They're having conversation about people signing up. We are still considered a hard to count community, although our numbers have increased, I think around 20% since we have been doing the food giveaways, and since, we've been lifted from, we've gone into phase 3. So that, which would mean, I think, the past 4 months. So we are going to continue to put the word out. As a matter of fact, starting tomorrow, the Village of Dalton is hosting census trainers. They will be there for the entire week. They will also be stationed at New Community Church all of this week from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. So we're working with them. They're going to be boots to the ground, which we were not able to do due to the coronavirus. And we are going to continue to get the word out. We continue to have weekly meetings and updates from the census as well. Mayor, would you like to add something?
No, I was just going to say, Saturday we had 4 people from the Census Bureau out registering people. They're going to be at the food giveaway every Saturday. So we hope to get a good percentage of our people registered. Do you know exactly where we're at now? I didn't get the last number percentage-wise for residents, Elizabeth.
I believe we're around 75%.
Okay. I know some communities at about 85 and 86%, so we want to at least try to get somewhere between there and 90% coverage registered, I should say. Okay, Giovanni, next question.
All right. What is the ratio of homeowners versus renters in the village of Dalton?
Sharon, are you on? Sharon? Sharon was on. I'm not sure, but
Okay, I had stepped away for a minute.
okay.
I'm back on.
Did you hear that question, Sharon?
No, what was the question?
Okay.
The question is, what is the ratio of homeowners versus renters in the village of Dalton?
I have no idea. I will have to count that up and see.
I know
Honestly.
at one time we had 9,200 households. Now,
Never really knew the figures because I was just in the middle of just processing all the paperwork. And so
Right.
now that we outsource and have third-party vendors for the renters, I'm sorry, not for the renters, for the vacant properties. Now I'm trying to keep track of how many we're renting as opposed to how many we have homeowner wise.
Right.
And so the next time I can probably answer that question based on our real estate log, and that lets me know what the property is being utilized for, whether it's going to be sold, whether it's going to be ownership, or whether it's going to be rental.
Yeah.
So I do have that listed in our real estate log.
yeah, and that fluctuates. It could fluctuate on a monthly basis or by yearly basis, but that fluctuates, especially since the COVID's in place right now too. Next question.
When does the mayor propose the budget?
When does the mayor propose the budget? Well, actually, the budget is put together. I usually just allow the finance committee, along with input from the trustees and along with what we've done in the past and looking forward in regards to our revenues, go along with the budget that's presented. If I see something in the budget that's actually kind of out of whack or could be improved or decreased or spent in a different way, I'll bring it to the finance committee and it's reviewed and it's actually inserted or not inserted in the budget.
Okay. Did the village spend money on employee pay even though they were not at work?
I would say no.
Okay. The next question is, in regard to permits, is the fee based on a project amount or is there a flat fee?
It's based on a project amount.
Okay. And then I guess this is reference to the last closed session meeting. It says, what is the outcome of the closed session meeting?
Madam Clerk?
At this point, Mayor, there is no outcome for the record until the trustees either act at a public meeting or release the minutes from the closed session. It remains in-house.
Well, I'm a little confused then because we did an email vote on what our decision was. That's why, once again, I didn't understand why it wasn't on this agenda for a vote and why we didn't go in closed session to clarify what it is the board wanted for the record. So Mayor, can you answer that? Everybody chimed in on the email. I'm pretty sure you saw it as well. Why aren't we doing anything? I want to understand this.
Doing anything as what, trustee?
What all the trustees chimed in and stated they wanted to do to proceed forward. Where are we with that? I don't want that to fall on deaf ears. So where are we with the decision that we made through email?
Trustee House, you want to chime in on this because last conversation I had with you, there was no agreement to everything.
So the executive session was regarding specific employees. The decided, without naming any employees, the decided vote was that the board wanted to make sure that all employees were taking furlough days, and it was specific to the payroll that just passed on July 19th, where the board voted which employees payroll should be adjusted. In terms of moving forward, I guess there's still a vote to be taken on that specific employee request for back pay to be honored, but that still has to be voted on.
May I be
And
ready?
then, hold on a minute, Trustee Holmes. And then Chris, you called me and I told you to reach out to the trustees. And I'm not sure how you did it, or if you did it, but what was your conclusion on that?
I received a call from Trustee House, and from there, we were able to get a consensus for the trustees when I was in the process of submitting payroll, so that we could submit payroll for the 17th, so that all village employees could get paid.
Mayor, I'm not
I'll be
understanding
recognized.
why we playing the
Does-
game. You see
does
the
that
same
answer-
email that everybody else see. We all agreed, we all voted for it through email, and that's what I had a problem with, because we're voting through email. So the residents, the community cannot see what our decision was. And you need to give back the money. So the ghost payroll that you had going on, this is what we talking about. So I don't know why we acting like we don't remember what's going on. We need to take a vote publicly, not just through email. Everybody saw the email. Everybody agreed. But now you acting like you don't know what's going on. Stop it.
May I be recognized, Mayor?
Trustee, in the past, if you wanted something on the agenda, you've never hesitated to contact the clerk to get it done. So why did you do it this time?
First of all, I did, and this is for the record. I contacted House. I asked him about it, and they said it was going to be on the agenda. So I don't understand why it's not on the agenda. That's why I asked why wasn't closed session on the agenda, so he could go in the back and talk to the attorney that was MIA at a meeting that we needed him at, because we talked about employees. We got no
Then you
legal
need-
advice from the attorney that we have. He don't just work for you. I wrote all that in the email, but he chooses not to answer my email and then just answer with two answers. No, that's not good enough. But I approve his pay. He works for everybody.
Hey, Madam Clerk, did anybody contact you to put it on the agenda?
No, sir.
Okay. Attorney Murphy, you want to comment on the trustee's last comment? Attorney Murphy must have left. He usually not on for citizens.
I'm here. I'm here.
Okay, go ahead.
First of all, nothing can be voted on tonight because it's not on the agenda as far as this employment matter is concerned. So it can be taken up in open session on August 3rd. Electronic votes don't have any binding effect. It sounds, however, that Chris is putting into effect the consensus direction from the board. So beyond that, Trustee Henyard has my home address or my home phone number and my office phone number. She should feel free to call me at any time.
Attorney Murphy, I sent the email. That's communication as well. You did not respond to the email that I sent. So I do all the channels that I'm supposed to do, and no one wants to respond. Then we get to a board meeting, I have to bring it up to show people like, okay, this is what's going on. Y'all can just respond to me.
All right, Trustee Henyard, so
Mayor
noted.
and trustees.
Trustee Holmes?
Chris,
Trustee
can you
Holmes?
chime in and just kind of clarify, because I think this is snowballing unnecessarily. I think that whatever was asked of in the email was performed. Is that correct, Chris?
That is correct. So the
Thank-
specific item about about that person's getting paid, there was no pay on the last payroll for that specific employee.
May I be recognized?
Go ahead, Trustee Holmes.
Chris, this is to you. How
Yes.
many trustees did you talk to about this?
I spoke via phone or email, because I had, I believe, by phone, I believe I spoke with Trustee Holmes, Trustee House, and those were the two trustees I spoke to, and I also spoke to via phone with the mayor. And then I had emails from Trustee Brown and Trustee Henyard and Trustee Steve.
Okay, my question. Why hasn't it been no movement on it? I mean, for the record, I told you via phone and email to take this payout ASAP, and it shouldn't go no further. Now we sitting here stalling.
Trustees,
Trustee Holmes, it was done. It was
Yes,
done.
that's what I was
Oh.
trying, yeah, I was trying to explain that. That's why I asked Chris to come on, because I think there was a misunderstanding somewhere along this meeting. The request that you made in the email in regards to the pay was performed. Am I correct, Chris?
Yes, and then I sent you all an email explaining exactly what I did on that email. So this employee received no pay on the last payroll. I want to be very clear. This employee received no pay on the last payroll, as what was per the board. That was the consensus that we received.
Okay, so what is they trying to vote on now?
I am unclear on that. I believe, and correct me if I'm incorrect, this has to do with the benefits and those items.
No.
We have
was
to,
saying-
we have to legally vote for whatever action is taken in closed session that we went back and did through email at an open meeting. So he have to put it on the agenda. We have to vote on it. It can't just be our secret in a sense, if that makes sense. It can't just be us agreeing, but the community, the people don't know. I'm trying to explain it to him so he can understand.
If that was the case, then it shouldn't have, then the action shouldn't have been taken against her until the board voted on it.
Mayor, we do
But
meetings, hold on. We do meetings all the time, votes through email all the time, and then y'all put it on agenda the next board meeting. This time y'all didn't do that. Y'all didn't follow.
It's not y'all, Trustee Henry. There has been many occasions that you have contacted the clerk and asked her to put certain things on the agenda.
Mayor, stop stalling.
So
If you wanted this done, you're
me.
the leader, right? You're the leader,
put it
right?
on
You could
me.
have made sure it
Trustee-
got on the agenda.
Trustee, you was contacted by
I've
the
asked.
finance department. You was contacted by the finance department. There was a consensus made, and the finance department did exactly what the board told them to do. Don't pay her, and take whatever back that she was given. Take it back. That's what they did. And now you're talking about a vote to do it. So
We still got to vote for it in the open. We voted through email, Mayor. What aren't you getting?
Okay,
we
then.
voted
And
through
what-
email. So
then
now
why
we
didn't
got to
you
vote in the public eye so they can see what it is we have done. That's what I'm
fine.
saying.
That's fine. Why didn't you put it on the agenda then?
I just told you I asked for it to go on the agenda. Is you not listening? It didn't go on the
Trustee-
agenda. I just asked
Madam
you about
Clerk-
closed session earlier in the board meeting.
Madam Clerk said no one contacted her to put it on the agenda.
Mayor, I told you what I did.
Well, hey, we're gonna move on. Madam Clerk,
Yes, sir.
On the
It's so
agenda
noted
next.
for the August 3rd agenda.
okay, thanks.
And then also to talk about the other payroll that I mentioned earlier, the payroll.
Any other questions, Giovanni?
Yeah, there was just a question that stated, let me read it. Let me get it back up. It said, when will the mayor find out what's going on in the payment center? And I asked for clarity to better understand what the question was. And it spoke about, I guess, delays processing payments in the payment center.
When will I find out?
Yeah, it said, when will the mayor find out what's going on with the payment center? And I asked the resident to clarify, and they stated that, I guess, transactions are not being processed in a timely manner.
Okay. Ask that patient, I'm sorry, not patient. Ask that citizen to contact you and get the number, and I will find out and give her a direct response. Him or her a direct response.
Okay, and that was the final question.
Okay, I'd like to get a motion to adjourn.
I motion.
It's been
Second.
motion. Second, who was the second by? Trustee Brown?
Yes.
Okay. First and second motion to adjourn. Roll call.
Trustee Denton,
Aye.
trustee Steve,
Aye.
trustee House,
Aye.
trustee Brown,
Aye.
trustee Holmes,
Aye.
and trustee Henyard.
Aye.
Motion carries 6 ayes. Thank you, everyone. This meeting is adjourned.